Hello and welcome to Eye on Africa. I'm Rochelle Ferguson-Biahi. These are the top stories on the continent. In Togo, 4 people are killed amid violence in the city of Sokode, while the ruling party headquarters are burned in the capital, Lome. The latest unrest erupted after the arrest of an imam close to Togo's main opposition leader. Looking for leads, pressure mounts on Ugandan police to find a serial killer who's been raping and murdering women in and around the capital. Our correspondent sent us this report from Kampala. And after success in Belgium, France and the Netherlands, the hit tragi-comedy Jihad takes to the stage in Morocco. Critics have hailed the play as gutsy for denouncing radicalisation using humour. But first to Togo, where 4 people have been killed this Tuesday amid violence in the country's second largest city, Sokode. Authorities say 2 soldiers were executed while another 2 people were shot dead. Protesters, meanwhile, in the capital, Lome, erected street barricades and set the ruling party headquarters alight. Unrest erupted after the arrest of an imam close to Togo's main opposition leader. France 24's Shirley Sitbourne brings us this report.
When customs officers arrived to the workplace in Lome's Agowi area on Tuesday, the place was still fuming. Authorities believe angry protesters largely destroyed the building. Violent incidents in Lome and central Togo erupted Monday night after the arrest of an imam close to an opposition leader. The most violent attacks took place in Sokode, where the imam was arrested. Authorities accuse him of preaching hatred.
Jobo Mohammed Alassani used his Friday sermon to incite hatred, calling for the murder of Togolese soldiers and civilians. He was arrested for preaching crime and sedition.
Supporters of the imam, also known as Alpha Hassan, deny he called to attack or kill soldiers in his speech, taking to the streets.
We heard they arrested our Alpha Hassan. We don't know when they arrested him. We're here because we want him to be freed. If they don't release him, the whole of Togo will have to mourn new deaths.
We want our Alpha to be freed. If he's released, we will stop protesting.
Opposition leaders say the arrest is an attack against them. On these images, they're seen marching to Togo's security ministry, calling for Alassani's release. Political tension has been high as the opposition demands political change and that President Fornia Simbe step down, rejecting authorities' plan to revise the constitution.
Away from Togo, Kenya's main opposition leader, Raila Odinga, has announced he's suspending a protest campaign after 3 people were killed in rallies against the country's election body. Well, protests were due to resume on Wednesday. Odinga, though, said they were halted out of respect for the innocent victims. The opposition leader announced last week he was withdrawing from a repeat presidential election against leader Uhuru Kenyatta. Amid the unrest, a 2-year-old child was shot by a stray bullet in the western city of Kisumu.
She was shot outside the house while she was playing, and she was with other children, but she was the only one hurt. Then we took her to hospital. I've already lost my husband. I'm a single mother.
Staying in Kenya, hundreds of Nairobi residents have been donating blood following Saturday's truck bombing in the Somali capital, which killed at least 281 people and injured hundreds more. Well, the bombing was one of the worst attacks to hit Somalia in a decade. Officials say it bears the hallmarks of the al-Qaeda-linked al-Shabaab group, but they haven't claimed responsibility. Somalia's information minister has warned that the death toll could yet rise. Next, in a move set to increase tensions within South Africa's ruling ANC party, President Jacob Zuma today fired a fierce critic from his cabinet. Well, Zuma dismissed the higher education minister, Blade Zimande, who's voiced increasing calls for Zuma to step down. The president also moved the state security minister, David Malobo, to the energy portfolio, reviving a debate over controversial and costly plans for nuclear energy. Police in the Ugandan capital are searching for a serial killer who's been raping and murdering women since May. Now, the brutal nature of the killings has left many women too scared to go out at night. Pressure's mounting on Uganda's police force, who've made several arrests, but the murders continue. Gronia Harrington and Tyus Brook sent us this report from Kampala.
In this tranquil town by the shores of Lake Victoria, there's an undercurrent of fear. 12 women have been murdered in this area since May. Anatoli's wife was the 5th to be killed. This is his first time to return to the scene of the crime since the night of her death.
It was here because that plant was there, as I can remember. So the body was lying here, bent. It was bent like this. And the stick was protruding from behind.
Anatoli is still struggling with what he saw that night.
It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. I couldn't believe it was Rose.
The police believe that Rose was murdered by a serial killer. Several of the other victims were sex workers. Most of the bodies were found in the same area, most strangled, and most with a stick inserted into their genitals. But as the arrests continue, so do the murders. The people here are living in fear, wondering who could be next. This hairdresser knew Rose. They were neighbours.
I'm scared and I fear. I don't know because we are doing the same job, almost the same years. And what happened to her, it may happen to me also.
When the murders first began in the suburbs of Kampala, there were numerous theories. Domestic violence, crimes of passion, ritual sacrifices. The police won't confirm how many suspects they have in custody, but they say they've prevented further killings in recent days.
We clues point at individuals or groups of people. We go for those, and the investigation does not halt until we conclude it. So we think we have the suspected criminals in this case, and we cannot guarantee that we have all of them.
Investigators say the murders around Kampala aren't linked to those in Entebbe, about 40 kilometres from the capital. But with no single suspect and no clear motive for now, women in Entebbe are simply being warned not to go out alone at night.
Now, after performances in Belgium, France and the Netherlands, the hit play Jihad has taken to the stage in Morocco. Ismail Saïdi's tragic comedy tells the story of 3 disaffected young men from Brussels who head to Syria to fight alongside jihadists. Well, critics have hailed the piece as both gutsy and daring for shining a comic light on radicalisation. Sarah Dublier, Josh Vardy and Jean-Marie Lemaire sent us this report.
At the heart of the El Jadida Medina on the Moroccan coast, a Portuguese church has been transformed into a theatre to host the play Jihad. It's the first time it's been performed in a North African country, and it's already sold out. The play has now been performed more than 300 times.
It's not that bad to tour the same play for almost 3 years and still face new challenges. It injects a bit of excitement into the tour.
The play itself keeps evolving. Having been translated into Italian, German and even Japanese, it's now been translated into Darija, the Moroccan dialect.
Once we've finished the tour here, we'll adapt the project so it can be shown in Moroccan neighbourhoods, in towns where people don't necessarily speak French.
The play has educational aims and so needs to be understood by the widest variety of people possible, the humour as well as the drama. Its audience are particularly taken by its tragic aspect.
It's quite fascinating to see that we always get the same reaction, whether it's for the play or for the debate. People laugh and cry at the same bits, they're afraid of the same things. It's pretty interesting.
After every performance, the author responds to questions from the audience, many of whom say the play has an important message.
I think that we have to show this kind of theatre. It can put doubts in the mind of people who could easily be indoctrinated.
It pinpoints human stupidity and what happens to our adolescents when they get involved in these problems, in these things that we now see every day.
A new play, the second part of a trilogy dealing with radicalisation, is already out on tour. A cinema adaptation of Jihad is due to be released in early 2019.
That from our team on the ground in Morocco. You are up to date. Your Eye on Africa team is back at the same time tomorrow. Up next, more international headlines. Stay tuned.